Speaker Nancy Pelosi officially swearing him into Congress. Now, this time around, he's chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, good morning and congratulations.
Good morning.
Well,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, you are there, people behind you, but the government is still shut down. And the biggest sticking point we have, and we've been hearing, is the wall. And Nancy Pelosi said it's immoral. Donald Trump says he's not signing a deal without it. So my question is, how do we get a deal done? Where do we go from here?
Well, it's a good question. And this is the problem with using essentially the federal workforce, the government employees, all the contractors, as a bargaining chip. This tactic, which began as a Tea Party device, and now the president has adopted it. If I don't get what I want, if I don't get that which I don't have the votes for, I'm going to shut the whole thing down. If you give in to that, then we can expect every year the president is going to shut down the government unless he gets something that he doesn't have the votes for. That's simply no way to run a country. And so he's painted himself in a corner. He said he would be proud to shut us down, and he has. I don't know how he gets out of that corner, but he needs to figure it out because it's intolerable that this situation goes on any longer. And after all, as he committed time and time and time again as a mantra, taxpayers were not going to pay for this. Mexico was going to pay for it, and now he wants our help to break that pledge. Well, we're not prepared to do it.
This morning, Speaker Pelosi is going over to the White House to meet with President Trump. The White House is floating this idea that maybe they would possibly be open to some sort of DACA deal, meaning all those dreamers, most of whom live here in Southern California, could potentially get some more protections in exchange for some money for the wall. Is that worth it? I mean, all these kids are desperate for help. Maybe throw a few $1 billion for the wall to help those kids.
We need to solve the situation facing the dreamers, which is also intolerable. I have to say, though, I'm repelled by the idea that these young people should be also held as hostages to this wall. And this is something that the president has tried to do before. He claims to want to provide relief for the dreamers. Well, if he was sincere about that, we would have done it a long time ago, because, of course, that is broadly supported on a bipartisan basis in the Congress. But again, I hate to see these young people used as a chit for this wall, and that's certainly not the approach I'd like to take, but I will leave it to my leadership to do the negotiating. But I find the whole idea that he would say, I'm not going to deal with the uncertainty in your future unless I get this thing I don't have votes for, I find that whole kind of bargaining strategy repulsive.
Well, Chairman, we're going to shift gears a little bit. We have a lot to talk about on that, but congratulations on your new appointment as chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. And here's the deal. There's no secret. There's no love lost between you and President Trump. You now have the power to subpoena, documents involved in the investigation. What's your first order of business? What are you going to do?
Well, you're right. I mean, there's certainly no love lost between the two of us, but I'm not going to let that interfere or guide what I do on the committee. We've got an important responsibility to undertake of overseeing all the intelligence agencies and make sure they're funded in the right way, that they're abiding by the laws and abiding by our privacy interests. We are going to do our oversight, and that means we are going to do our work in terms of the Russia investigation that we were not able to do when we were in the minority. That is as it should be. If a foreign power has leverage over the President of the United States, and that is warping our policy either towards Russia or Saudi Arabia or any other country, we need to know about it. So these are our priorities. Make sure the agencies are doing what they should, providing us with the best intelligence to keep the country safe, and doing our oversight.
How are you going to work with the special counsel, Robert Mueller, and how are you going to ensure that any report that he may issue doesn't get buried?
We're going to start out by trying to make sure that we deconflict with the special counsel, and that is we've been running parallel investigations, and we want to make sure there's nothing that we do that will interfere with his ability to bring people to justice. So that's a priority. It's also going to be very important, though, and this is, at heart a congressional responsibility, that we inform the country of what happened. Mueller thus far has only been able to speak through indictment, and obviously that's a limited way to speak to the American people about events that have taken place. When he does make that report, it's going to be very important, I think, for as much of that to be public as possible. Now, there may be grand jury material or classified information that can't be made public, or at least not in that form. But this is too big to be swept under the carpet or hidden. It's too big for either the special counsel, the Justice Department, or the Congress to say to the American people, we know what happened, trust us, don't worry about it, we're not going to tell you, just know that we have your interests in mind. It's too big for that. The country has both a right and a need to know.
So you're basically saying that you will, if needed, subpoena this report and release it publicly, even if the Trump administration doesn't?
Well, I am saying that we will use our power to make sure that the country is informed about what took place. Now, whether that's the report or elements of the report or what we can learn about the actions that have taken place by the special counsel, I can't say at this point. I can tell you this, for the last 2 years, the Justice Department has been providing tens of thousands of pages, hundreds of thousands of pages of documents in the Clinton email investigation to the Congress, as well as a great volume of materials in the Mueller investigation to the Congress. And I made it clear to the Justice Department that if that was their practice and that was their process, that if the majority changed hands, as it has, they would have to live by that precedent. So they understand that they're going to have to provide discovery now to the Congress.
So you're going to offer transparency, is what you're saying.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so.
Yes.
Yeah, and hopefully
Absolutely.
the government can be back open soon, because I know there's a lot of people very frustrated this morning.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, Congressman Schiff.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time. We really appreciate it, Congressman Adam Schiff.
Thank you very
of
much.
Burbank. Appreciate it.